the year goes on, I get closer and closer.
To learn new skills and to build new acumen.
We can always touch. It's not.
When you get that, then you get a lot more excited about being around children.
Normal, in a sense, with all of the changes.
Or how you can transform your own business.
On developing the whole child, socially, emotionally.
Traditional route of teaching young people
how to set boundaries, because this little victim here needs to know how to
do very well, so they use that term.
Sometimes expanded them to go up to 40 minutes.
All of those things in education, of course, those things are important.
Oxygen is going to our heads and our lungs.
The affirmations in the mirror for about 2 minutes.
What did you do in order to get yourself going?
This is amazing.
It happens, what seems to happen quite a bit in our school.
For the families to come, and they
is that really for the child, or is it for us, for the parent?
And doing new things for our brain.
Who's orchestrating everything in this universe?
Which parts of the brain are used?
Based on that map that we have.
See you with your smiling face.
Atul, thank you very much for allowing me to join you. Namaste to you, my friends.
Hello, welcome, good morning, good evening to all who have joined from different parts of the world to our Early Childhood Global Spotlight talk show. I am Atul Tyagi once again from India. I'm also a co-founder of a preschool chain in the name of WOWkids, having more than 150 centers spread across 20 states of our country. Friends, today is a very, very special day as we celebrate Teachers' Day. They say times may change, but dear teacher, you continue to shape the future. Thank you, teachers, for encouraging us, inspiring us, and showing us to dream big. We have a short video that we have made for our audience from the WOWkids preschool chain. Let me play that for all of you. All right, happy Teachers' Day to everyone. And friends, if you're new here, we do these spotlight live talk shows every Sunday, 9 p.m. my time, which is Indian Standard Time, which is 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. And the point of these shows is to simply inspire others. And if you have a question during the show, feel free to leave a comment. We would be happy to take them up during the show. All right. So we have today a very special guest, my favorite, Dr. Kathleen Friend, who has joined us from Arizona in the US. Dr. Kathleen has been associated with our global community since its inception, I guess. Doctor, almost one and a half year back when this pandemic started, we engaged with you and you came on the show and we had a very long association. We are also joined by our very own Marian Herman, and both of them have joined us from the United States. Before we get started, let me give a small introduction of Dr. Kathleen. Dr. Kathleen Friend MD is a child psychiatrist, children's author, musician, and heart rhythm meditation teacher currently living in Tucson, Arizona. Her mission is to expand the paradigm of child psychiatry to embrace a holistic view of mind, body, and spirit. She is the author of two wonderful children's books, The Greatness Chair and Sarah in the Greatness Chair, as well as soon to be published guidebook for parents and teachers called Lessons in the Greatness Chair, bringing out the best in children and the grown-ups. We also have our very own Marian Herman, who is also a moderator of our global community and is also founder of internationally respected Music with Mar program. I would now request Marian to take this forward. Over to you, Marian.
Thank you. And yes, happy Teachers Day. And teachers often do not get all the accolades they deserve. So thank you, Atul, for making such a nice video. It was really touching. All right, so Kathleen, we're going to talk about a topic today that I guess can be interpreted different ways by different people, right? But what we would like to talk about here is that we are overstimulating. There's just too much stimulation around us all the time, and we need to slow it down. And so I want you to speak to that a little bit, because I had shared with you one of the things that inspired my wanting to do this topic and reaching out to you, because I knew, in my opinion, you were like the best person to speak on this, is that when I teach a Music with Mare class and I have parents coming in and saying, we have to make sure that we leave on time, because after here, we have a program at the library, and then we have dance class, and they feel like they have to fill every single moment. So I'm going to turn this over to your very capable mind and ask you to share with us your thoughts on this topic.
Well, good morning, Atul and Mar. It's always a pleasure to come on the show, and I'm so happy that that I can be a part of your mission, to this global community and mission to, just to try to make the world for children, what are the words I can say? That we're all invested in the welfare of children. And so I love this topic about too much stimulation, because I, like the children and all of you, we just live in an overstimulated world, and it's not slowing down.
Yeah.
It's 24/7, our phones, our dings. So I am going to talk today a lot about this idea of rhythm. And I think Mara will like that, because, well, we're both musicians. So I think that rhythm is underappreciated. And rhythm is something that both our bodies need as adults and the children. Our bodies work in rhythms. And so we'll talk a little more about that. But just for 1 second, maybe a little more than a second, I'm going to ask everybody who's watching this now, or maybe watching a recording, we're going to take no more than a minute here to slow down. So keep your eyes open or close them. And I'm going to ask you just to do a couple of simple things. I just want you to feel your feet on the floor, and just feel your body, literally come into your body and feel that you're actually present and sitting in your chair. And then bring your attention to your breath. And you will notice that your breath has a rhythm. If you don't do anything to change it, it's got its own rhythm. Some of us inhale longer, some of us exhale longer, but there's a rhythm. And the rhythm of our breath changes with how stimulated we are. Just take one moment to put your awareness on the breath and actually breathe your breath into your heart area, just into the chest area. Just a couple of breaths. And just try to feel a sense of slowing down coming into the physical body. Okay. Now, it's kind of ironic. This is a show about slowing down. Normally, I would lead you through a 20-minute meditation, but we have a lot to get to, right? Okay. It's a paradox. It's a paradox, right? So take it away, Mark.
Oh, okay. So I think that the thing that I would love to take away from parents is their fear that they have to pour so much into the little bodies and brains of their children that are of the age group that this group is about, up to 8. They don't need to know how to play chess. They don't need to be a good painter or have been, it's nice to get exposed to the things, but it's not a race to see how much they could have before they get to school. The most important thing to them is time, spending time with you. Now, my mother always used to say to me, "You are always bored. You are always bored." And I was always searching for things to do, and she did not really have the skills. And I remember her one time giving me a paintbrush and a glass of water and telling me to paint the house. And she brought me outside and showed me a wall and said, "Just paint the house." And I just sat there for about an hour, like realizing that the water was making the house clean. And what if I could do the whole thing? But the simple things like that, parents don't think of anymore, look up like, "Oh man, I have to give her something to do." And now it's like, here's an iPad, here's a YouTube video, instead of here's a paintbrush, paint something.
Thank you, Mar. It's so wonderful because you're giving my talk. Yeah, I can slow it down and just listen. I agree with everything you're saying. And so let's just start. I have a couple of layers I'd like to talk about in this topic. And before we go to the actual scheduling issue, let's just talk about the body and what happens inside the body. And this is true. What I'm saying, there is no division. If I could only get one point across today, or two, maybe two, it's that what we do is connected to the children. We are intricately connected. If we can't slow ourselves down and get into a rhythm of in our physiology of relaxation and learning, the ability, our nervous system has to be in a certain state for learning. Mm-hmm. And we are the models for the children. And this is no shame or blame. Believe me, I'm in this as much as any person on the planet these days. But if we can't learn how to regulate our rhythms in our bodies for that peace and quiet inside, even in the midst of activity, we don't stand a chance with the children. So learning looks like, they should learn something by a certain age and all this. But learning requires our bodies to be in a certain receptive state for learning. Mm-hmm. And that is based on a little bit of a different rhythm than fast, 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 fast. When we're our brain, our heart has a rhythm, our breath has a rhythm, and our brain has a rhythm. And when we're really paying attention, like right now I'm talking to you, so my brain rhythms, if you hooked me up to an EEG, they'd be going pretty fast. I'm talking, I'm focusing my attention, I'm speaking. Hopefully they're not going too fast. Now let's just say I was nervous about how am I going to get all this information to you? Well, then my brain waves would probably be going even faster with a little anxiety. But the optimal state is this kind of relaxed attentiveness. And that is what we need for learning. So it's not a checkout, although we will get to that. That ties into boredom. We'll get there. We'll get there. And checkout's good. So somebody says our self-regulation impacts their, self-regulation. That's what I'm talking about. So
that's by Rebecca Wiener.
Oh, yeah, totally. So when we find ourselves, Russ, I mean, the simplest way to reset is honestly to take a couple of deep breaths. And I like thinking about it going into the heart area. And one can learn to reset pretty quickly with just 2 or 3 breaths, deep breaths in and out the heart, and then start again. It's vital that children, no matter what level of activity they're in, they know how to find this place inside themselves. So would you like me to start to talk about boredom now?
Of course, yes, please carry on. So what are the benefits?
What are the benefits?
What are the benefits of boredom?
Yeah. Now that's kind of a funny word because I was thinking about boredom. And I remember being bored sometimes as a kid, and I didn't like it. I can remember that. And I felt kind of lost and adrift, you know? And my world wasn't as sped up when I grew up. But even then, I didn't like that feeling of boredom because I wanted to be productive. However, having space to not have a structured activity is absolutely necessary. Because the brain, we are so constantly stimulated with external input that our brains get tired. Our brains just get tired. And our children show, we do too, but our children really show us when they're tired. You know, they're cranky, they may cry, they may scream, you can't please them. Those are usually not down. So being bored or not having, I'd prefer to say just not having a scheduled activity allows a child to recharge. You know, they're recharging their batteries, and also it gives them an opportunity to work in a different part of the brain that allows for imagination and creativity. So like Mara, when your mom gave you that bucket of water and paintbrush and said, paint the house, you know, your imagination probably kicked in because of course you didn't have a can of paint and you weren't really changing the way the house looked, but somehow the idea of it captivated you. And in your own mind, you probably were thinking you were painting the house, and maybe you were even imagining, oh, I'm making it pink now, or I'm making it green, or I don't know. But it gives you space for this imagination. The other thing that's unbelievable about boredom is that actually sometimes in boredom, children are actually thinking about their future. It's not always idle time. You know, it gives us space to even think about their own goals and their future. And so mind, you know, we want to say mind wandering, it's often actually future oriented. It's not actually unproductive. So those are just some of my thoughts on boredom. I think I don't like that word boredom because it sounds negative. Nobody wants to be bored, but we need to think of, maybe we could change the language somehow to opening up space for creativity and imagination without a preset agenda. How's that? How's that sound?
All right, Rebecca says boredom is where we hold space for creativity and rejuvenation.
That's exactly it. And, you know, and just to really, one other point Mar made about fear, you know, we are in such a competitive world, and I understand people are afraid. If I don't give my child this opportunity, if they don't learn this, maybe they won't get into the best school. If they don't get into this school, maybe their lives won't go well. Maybe they won't get a good job. I mean, it's endless. It's just, I came from the East Coast in the United States when we moved there, and I can remember parents saying to me that everybody wanted their kids in an Ivy League school, Harvard, Yale, basically, and there was a path to get there, like to go to the right boarding school. And our family, we really fought all that, and I raised a profoundly gifted child, actually, who was very capable. I didn't actually ever have to help this child learn at all. But other parents were shocked that I was so hands-off in a way and that I wasn't pushing my child to the Ivy League. Children have their own life course. And the sooner we tune in to what that child's journey is through life and what they can really bring to the table, I think the happier everybody's going to be.
Now, if I'd like to interject something on research on boredom and overscheduling. And there was some research done with children who have had their whole life planned for them. Their parents do everything for them and make sure all their time is filled. And they did a correlative study where they found that children who were so used to having people give them things to do are the children more likely to join gangs and get involved in those activities, because a gang is a group of people that are going to organize your life, tell you what to do, how to do it, what colors to wear. And so I know, like up in New York, Kennedy, he does so much work, wonderful work there with helping children to learn how to take care of themselves, so that they don't need to rely on other people's choices. And even the Music with Mayor program, I always talk to the parents about letting your child pick their clothes. Who cares if they come with stripes and polka dots, right?
Oh, that's beautiful, Mara. I really love that. We really need to give space for the children to make their own choices and to make mistakes. I mean, even if it's there's mistakes, little mistakes and big mistakes, but children learn. That's how they figure out life and who they are. So, and I hadn't heard that study about the gangs, but what's really, that's interesting, and I could see that, and I know that so many kids going to college these days have a lot of anxiety and depression. And I want to say, let's take COVID out, because COVID has changed the landscape, because there's a new set of anxieties that have come in. But even before COVID, kids were showing up to college and they couldn't manage themselves. They were texting parents like 3, 4, 5 times a day, and they couldn't turn around without advice. Now, of course, we want to be, we are the guides. We want to guide them, but we want to give them agency. I think that's another word I really like. We have to be really careful not to take away agency from children. And that looks different. When you have a 3-year-old, that's not going to look the same as for a 7-year-old or a 15-year-old, obviously. But we need to give children space to be, to grow, to experiment, to figure things out. It's just, I'm thinking about, you read the biographies of great scientists and inventors, and, they often had a childhood where they were somewhat lost and daydreamy and just had time to explore the ideas in their own head.
Right.
As opposed to being filled, open up the funnel and pour all the knowledge in.
Yes. Yes. And I think
just for a moment, I would like to give a shout out to everybody who has joined and commented. We'll start from Siddharth, Debbie Clement, Sana, Liz Hinz-Hannon, and then we have Rebecca Wiener, who's been watching, and Malvia, Mr. Malvia Vashisht, who is joined. Then we have Mr. Ramakrishna Reddy, Chitta Musha, who has just joined, our group today. She is also on the show. Welcome, everyone, friends. I thought I'll just take this time out to give a big shout out to all of you. Thank you for joining the show. Please stay connected and stay tuned. Carry on. I'm so sorry.
That's
All right.
okay.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. It's important to acknowledge those that are
Absolutely.
taking part and
Yes.
and learning from this and sharing. And I know that we have to also be mindful that Dr. Kathleen, who is still a practicing physician, does need to get to a hospital where she is one of our heroes that is helping everyone through this
Absolutely.
crisis. So in
Hats off
respect,
to Dr. Kathleen for her
yes,
service to mankind during these difficult times of COVID. She's taken up her work again.
and it's service with the heart. You know, it's
Yes.
not just the clinical, but she does it from her heart. So in closing, a lot of the techniques are mindfulness, with making sure that we're not over getting too much stimulation and slowing it down. It doesn't have to necessarily, as you said right from the beginning, it's not necessarily something we're teaching the children, but we're modeling, and we do it together as family time. And it's also okay for a family to all be in the same room and each doing something different. Mom might be reading, you might be doing a puzzle, dad might be working on something, but we can be together without all being on the same focus. But we can also be together and doing something, as a group. So the family time activities are part of what can be slowing down, taking time for family.
Oh, I so agree. And I definitely could take a few more minutes. I know I kind of gave you a time limit, but, I wonder, here's a question that as you're talking, I'm thinking about how maybe there are teachers and parents today who don't trust themselves to know what to do in quiet time. Like if the time isn't structured, maybe
Good
they
point.
feel a little lost. Like, oh, I have to keep my child entertained. They're going to come to me and say they're bored. And, I really encourage each and every person who ever hears this to trust yourself a little bit. Trust that open space. I mean, mental, emotional space is not the enemy, and it's to allow it for yourself to see what unfolds. You might be surprised. Like, you may have to slow down enough to get a creative idea for maybe some family time that you wanted to spend doing. Like maybe it is you all are just sitting in the room together doing things, which is great, or a family game, or whatever it is. But trust that there's something inside of you that knows how to do this. And we don't always need experts to tell us how to fill our children's time. And having said that, I'm a big advocate for early childhood music classes. I just want to go on record, I have to say. And I'm not just saying this because Mara's here. My son was in piano lessons at age 3. I'm just saying, I'll be honest. But there's a way that even if you have your child scheduled and maybe overscheduled, which I don't agree with really, but there is a way to even approach these activities in a more open way with curiosity without thinking about the outcome. If you're going to put your kids in lots of activities, okay, but let them have their experience and try to keep the performance pressure out of it. because that'll just kill the creativity and the learning.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it will.
We have a question from Debbie Clement. Hi, Debbie. So nice to see you. So Debbie says, can you quickly address the reality that today's children are spending an inordinate amount of time on screens to the detriment of their personal relationships and creativity?
Sounds like another show.
Yep, Debbie, that's totally an issue. Different families handle that in different ways, but we all need times away from our phones and computer screens. And
I believe that it's the parents who have to take the initiative. So if children will follow what you do as a parent, if you are on the screen for 5 hours, they will always say that you also are on the screen the entire day. Why are you snatching the phone away from me? So, that's one of the ways that if you are this, they follow and see what parents do, actually.
So try to make, our challenge in today's digital world as parents and teachers is how to make the time without media juicy. How do we make relationship time kind of juicy? And that doesn't mean planned. It just means connected. Children want connection with adults. They really don't. I mean, they may have become addicted to their phones and screens just like we have, but they want connection. We're mammals. We're built for connection. So trust that. Trust that that's an innate need of us as human beings. And it may take a little screaming and fighting at the beginning, but eventually it'll work out. So.
And I think that's, an excellent question, Debbie, and also could be an entire spotlight show on that topic.
Yes, we must actually. That's a great topic that should be discussed, actually.
So # juicy connections. Well,
yes.
Somebody likes that, you see. That's,
juicy connections.
That's your comment about juicy connections is going to have to go up there with my favorites, and the other is Dr. Alice Honig referring to babies as delicious. So, right?
That hashtag is by Debbie. Debbie says juicy connections.
Well, yes. Kathleen, we really appreciate your time, and I just, want parents to know, relax. It's not about filling every moment with something to do, just filling the moments with love and knowing that you are important to them. And in closing, is there something you'd like to say?
Oh, that's beautiful, Mara. The love and that you're just there, literally present, that as the adult, that you're just showing up with your fullness.
Mm-hmm.
Children read that. They feel that. There may not be words for it, but they feel when you're with them. And that helps promote that feeling in the body that I was talking about at the beginning. And children need to feel that safety and connection in their body for learning,
Yes. So thank you. Thank you for your beautiful words and commentary today. It's very important. And thank you to everyone that joined in and added comments to the conversation, because those always just make it even better when we have participation. So Dr. Kathleen, thank you. Atul.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Kathleen. It was wonderful once again to have you on the show on such a wonderful topic that there's too much of stimulation. We must slow it down. I hope this discussion has been beneficial. Some people have taken a lot of inputs from the conversation that we had today. Thank you, Marian, once again for joining us and taking your precious time out for our wonderful global community. And I also thank all the viewers on Facebook for taking your precious time out to watch this show live. Our best wishes to all of you until we meet again next week. All right. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.